W.F. Howes presents an unabridged recording of The Curtain and the Wall, A Journey in the Shadow of the Cold, by Timothy Phillips, narrated by Gerard McCarthy. For Aunt and Benny, one better travelled than I, and one who is always at home. Each of us is more or less an egg. Each of us is a unique, irreplaceable soul enclosed in a fragile shell. This is true of me as it is true of each of you, and each of us, to a greater or lesser extent, is confronting a high, solid wall. Haruki Murakami, The Novelist in Wartime, Speech on Accepting the Jerusalem Prize, 2009. The other side was so close, and yet you knew nothing about it. How things looked on the other side of the water. It was closed off in every way imaginable. That's what's so odd, the fact that we went swimming in the same water. Recollection by an anonymous resident of Gotland, shared with At the Water's Edge, an exhibition of life in the Baltic during the Cold War organised by the Estonian Institute of Historical Memory in 2018. Author's note. Across Europe, the morning of 24th of February 2022 was one of those moments when the course of history suddenly seemed to change. Hundreds of millions of people woke to the news that Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, had instigated a full-scale war against his country's neighbour, Ukraine. Millions inside Ukraine were wrenched from their sleep by the literal impact of the first missiles. They've not slept easily since. Countless more beyond the country's borders felt the geopolitical shockwaves those detonations caused. As I write, we all continue to wonder what Putin's war will mean for the future peace of the world. The book you are about to read is an account of my journey along the entire route of the old Iron Curtain. As I travelled back in 2019, I found people frequently wanting to talk about the conflicts Russia had already caused in eastern Ukraine and about its illegal annexation of Crimea. Contrary to some recent reports, many experts and ordinary people knew then, before the massive escalation in hostilities, that Putin was a leader dangerously obsessed with power, with few, if any, limits on his behaviour, that he was a man fundamentally out of control. The debate about whether his particular acts of violence in 2022 were foreseeable will rage for decades, but what is already clear is that these events have special resonance for anyone who ever lived near the Iron Curtain. On my recent travels, I thought often about my own first trip to the former USSR, to the Ukrainian cities of Kiev, Zhytomyr, and Uzhhorod, back in 1995. I was still a schoolboy.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?